Sorry for the delay. Sorry for the delay and shit. You know what I mean? This is BBSP, Blue Bolt Sports Observer. You know, I just want to, get a random topic off and shit. And this is something that's kind of been a bit of a take for a while now. You understand what I'm saying? Um, the value of rings between LeBron James and Kevin Durant. You know, the so-called narrative, right? The so-called prevailing argument is that LeBron James is the one that ushered in the super team era. LeBron James is the one that started stacking the deck in his favor, started all the teaming up, started all the softest in the league, whatever, all that narrative and shit. You know, so, you know, as compared to KD, who took it to another level and went to the team that beat him in the playoffs, and the so-called narrative is LeBron James did the same thing Kevin Durant did, so therefore LeBron James championships should be held in the same standard as Kevin Durant's. And I don't know how far further that is from the truth, Like I said, and shit, I'm not going to be this one saying I don't believe in asterisks, okay? I don't believe in asterisks, number one. Number two, at the end of the day, you still put in the hard work of, taking the process of becoming a champion, becoming an MVP, advancing in the playoffs, lead your team to the championship, So, but the thing is, championships are valued on a different scale. You easily say Dirk's one ring is more valuable than the KD's two rings in Golden State. Hakeem's rings is more valuable than KD's rings in Golden State. And to a lesser extent, somewhat Kawhi's ring in 2019 is more impressive than the rings KD might win in Brooklyn. But end of the day, we got to stop this narrative that these parasites in the media put out. You understand what I'm saying? First of all, LeBron James came to a team that had no history of winning, all right? First year, he had guys like Darius Miles and Ricky Davis, had incompetent coaches. No disrespect to them and shit, but let's keep it 100. Any of them cats was gonna be Hall of Fame coaches. Any of them. The only person that might come close, and that's only because his association with the San Antonio Spurs is Mike Brown. But even then, Mike Brown had his flaws. You understand what I'm saying here and shit, right? So, okay, LeBron's first 7 years in Cleveland, he didn't have no kind of all-stars. I don't care about, you can bring up Mo Williams, you can bring up Larry Hughes, you can bring up Eric Snow. None of those players were on the caliber of the Oklahoma City Thunder when Kevin Durant, when he first got to the NBA, Seattle Supersonics. Okay, that was a bad team. Okay, but everything else after that, you can easily make the argument that you can easily say that Kevin Durant, KD, has been on loaded teams for the majority of his goddamn career. OKC, compared the Cleveland roster to the OKC roster, you had a young Russell Westbrook, young James Harden. You had Serge Ibaka. A couple of years later, you had pieces like Derek Fisher. You had pieces like Kendrick Perkins. Two players who were valuable in championship runs. You know what I mean? Now you can sit here and say that's on the same level as a goddamn Cleveland, but you be a dumbass. You be delusional as fuck. You be a flat out retard to actually think that those OKC teams that Kevin Durant was on the same level as those LeBron James teams when he was the only true superstar. You know, and okay, it's a different circumstances. Different circumstances here, okay? LeBron, the Cleveland front office and shit, right? Wouldn't spend no kind of money in trying to improve their roster, okay? They made some ditch efforts. One time they tried to trade for Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, and when that shit fell through, it became apparent. It became straight up apparent that the Cleveland Cavalier organization wasn't committed to winning. What do you expect a man to do? Just sit around, just stick around, and just take the load on his own, you know? But then again, the media wants it both ways. They want to call him a loser, right? You know what I mean? But yet they want to criticize him for trying to win, you know? And that's all that was, you know? When he went to Miami, right? Everybody wants to move the goalposts and change the narrative, right? As to what actually happened. All I heard back then was, all you heard back then actually heard was, this may not work out. This might blow up because LeBron James and Dwayne Wade are the same kind of player. And Chris Bosh doesn't fit, you know? And they don't have no depth on their roster. The benches did and all that. People in that time, they were still picking Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers with Kobe Bryant. Yeah. Even then, as comparison to the KD move to Golden State, even still, even with the Miami Heat around, you still had a competitive league. Shit, you had Dallas and Dirk. You still had San Antonio. You had who else? The Lakers, of course. You had the Celtics. You had the Atlanta Hawks with Joe Johnson and Al Horford, all them dudes. You had the young and up and coming Chicago Bulls with Derrick Rose. And also, you still had the Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard. So let's not act like here they just took over the league and it was an unfair advantage like Golden State. Nobody was saying that back then. Everybody was talking about would this even work, you know? And even then, Miami Heat got to the finals first year and they underperformed and lost. You understand what I'm saying? They lost. All right? So, and LeBron James himself underperformed. And there's no denying that shit. All right? There's no denying that shit. All right? No denying it. You know, he underperformed. He didn't perform up to his standards. You know, he choked. He damn well choked. You know, and only winning 2 titles out of 4 years. Does that sound like an unfair advantage? Because even then, even in winning those championships, they could have easily lost any of them 2 years before 2014. You know, so the super team of Miami, yeah, they were deep. They were the best team in the league. They were probably the deepest team in the league coming together. But let's not act like they were some unbeatable juggernaut as comparison to Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, this man went to a team with another superstar and 3 other all-stars, you know, that were in their prime, you know, because you got to think, Dwayne Wade, the only time he was actually Dwayne Wade was that first year and a half there. From 2013 to 14, Dwayne Wade was starting to fall off. And they don't deny that shit. You don't believe me? Just look at the 2013 and the 2014 finals. And compare that to Steph Curry, what he was doing in the 2017 and the 2018 finals. You know? And you can make the legit argument that one of those finals, especially 2018, Steph Curry should have been MVP. Because Kevin Durant, 2018 Finals, you can make the argument that he got outplayed by LeBron. Don't give me that scoring shit. Don't give me that has he step back shit. Don't give me them point shit. Look at the numbers all around and tell me who had better numbers. See, that's the problem with these people today, man. They too romanticized by this scoring shit. When there's more things that a player has to do to be dominant. What about defense? What about rebound? What about facilitating, playmaking? You know, all KD did was score. That's all his job would do was score. But like I said before, not only KD went to Golden State, well, it was a weak ass move, man. A weak ass move because number one, they won the championship years removed from that. As compared to the Miami Heat, they were like maybe 5, 6 years removed from the time LeBron went to Miami Heat. All right, and number two, they whooped your ass. You choked. This is the same team that you choked the 3-1 lead against. You choked the 3-1. This man choked the 3-1 lead against this same goddamn team, man, and you decided to join them. If you want to compare that to LeBron, that's like LeBron going to Boston after he loses to Boston, or going to the Lakers 8 years prior while Kobe's there. So don't give me this bullshit like it's the same thing. You understand? Because it's not. It's not. And it's not. That shit is. It's like apples and oranges. It's the sun and the moon and shit. There's different situations, man. And not only that, he went to the team. Kevin Durant went to the team that won the championship a year and a half removed, and he choked against, and had another superstar and 3 other All Stars. So you gonna sit here? People gonna sit here in a straight face and tell me that Kevin Durant's move is the same stratosphere as LeBron James? That logic right there never made sense. You know, like, and people want to move the goalposts. They're now saying that the 2016 Cavs were a goddamn super team. How in the hell were they a goddamn super team when they were even favored to come out of the conference their first year? People were on the Bulls bandwagon. They seen LeBron starting over, going to Cleveland. That gave advantage to the other Eastern Conference teams. Most importantly, Chicago Bulls when Derrick Rose was still there. You had Jimmy Butler. You had Luol Deng, I think. Of course, you had Joakim Noah. And you had Pau Gasol. They had just acquired, that summer, they just acquired Pau Gasol from the Lakers. Pau Gasol came over to the Bulls from the Lakers. And a lot of people fell in love with that team. But people just don't remember that because they too enamored with LeBron. They too enamored with LeBron. And like diminishing this man. So for me, you think about the rings, the LeBron coming back from that 3-1 deficit, that's more impressive by itself than anything on Kevin Durant's resume. And also, the 2020 championship is also a more impressive feat than the two Kevin Durant won in Golden State. You could have inserted a superstar like Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the results are still the same. As a comparison to Miami and Cleveland and LA, where they had to build chemistry over time. Now tell me which one is the easiest route. Tell me which one is the easiest route. And like I said, this is no way diminishing KD's accomplishment to Golden State. End of the day, he won those championships. That's it. That's all in this discussion. But I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm going to elevate KD all because he had a less path and less resistance. And people want to put KD's rings in the same conversation as LeBron's rings. When the last 2 rings LeBron won are way more impressive than the rings that KD won in Golden State. KD chose the path of least resistance to go to get to a championship. And you look at those Miami Heat teams, they were pushed to 7 games. All them 2 years they won the championship. And them games, they almost lost. They could have easily lost them series. So don't give me this bullshit. Don't give me this bullshit about LeBron and KD's rings are in the same stratosphere. You know? And like I said, Miami Heat is a super team, okay? And there's no denying that. But we're not going to sit and act like the Miami Heat team is so much better than the 1960 Celtics or the 1972 Lakers or the 1971 Bucks or the 1977 Portland Trailblazers or the 1980 Los Angeles Lakers, Showtime Lakers, any of them teams from the 80s, or the 1986 Celtics, or even the 1989 Pistons, or the 96 Bulls, or the 2008 Celtics. What do those have all in common? All of them had big threes, plus veteran players that contributed, as opposed to Golden State, which they already had the chemistry, they already had the system in. You drop Kevin Durant in there, it's nuclear. That shit is nuclear, man. You know? So, it's funny to me how motherfuckers out here, all these clowns, these parasites and leeches in the media, want to move the goalposts now. You know? But tell me what y'all think, man. Hit the like and subscribe.